So this video is quite different than the type of content that I usually make on my channel. But I feel like I had to make this video purely because working in the esports industry for so long, I feel like I have to culminate all my experiences and all the things that I have learned along this journey and tell you guys something useful that you can take along with you, whether you're competing in Fortnite, which is the game that I work in, or whether you're competing in any other game and you're trying to get to that top level. The revered pro player status is something that everyone wants to achieve. But I think there's a lot of lessons that you need in order to get to that point. And so I thought, why not make this video? And I think that, there's a lot of value that's going to be packed into this video that I think you guys don't want to miss. So watch this all the way through, guys. With that being said, why should you listen to me? Well, I used to play at a semi-professional level in Fortnite. So I was 40,000 PR in Fortnite with earnings as well. And for people that are outside of Fortnite, what that means is I was top 150 in North America for quite some time, which is, again, not quite at that top tier pro level. But I do have personal experience, and then I have coached the game at a wide skill range, whether it's beginners or pro players themselves. I have coached the game for 2 years. And with all these experiences that I have, attending LANs, tournaments, working really, really hard to make sure that I can get really good at the game, working hard with students, and working hard with anybody who wants to get better at Fortnite, I can tell you that I've learned a lot along this journey, and I want to share some of those things with you. So the first lesson that I really want to tell you guys about, that I think that you should really remember, is to not have expectations. And I know everyone says, like, set goals. I'm going to be a pro player by this time. But then as soon as you do that, what you're doing is you're trying to control the uncontrollable. You're trying to control something that you cannot directly control. You should be playing to improve and be better than the person or player that you were yesterday, compared to trying to win. I know that sounds weird coming from a coach. You shouldn't be playing to win, but that's not something you can directly control or guarantee. You can only improve the likelihood of that happening by simply focusing on yourself and improving to become a better player day by day. And by doing that, you become inwards and self-reflective compared to looking to get the end result. Now, what you can do actually is you can look at the certain output that you're getting based on the time span that you used and then adjust based on that. But don't try to directly go for a pro player status. Like, you don't know what you want. You don't necessarily know that you want to sacrifice all that much. Why not let your intuition sacrifice what you're willing to sacrifice and then see where it takes you? And that ultimately is a way less stressful way of approaching improvement. And ultimately, we know this, that improvement is best with a certain amount of stress. But as soon as you go too far, you're going to not want to play anymore. As we know, consistency with practicing is extremely important, and we're not going to achieve that consistency if we're extremely stressed. So do your absolute best to focus on what you can control and focus to improve. And you really want this. This is the key, guys. This is absolutely the key. The key is to shift your viewpoint from I want to be a pro to I want to be the best that I possibly can be, whatever that means. And you don't know what that means, right? Because a lot of people, when they set that expectation of I want to go pro and they see the improvement that they have in a year, they get extremely demotivated. Just be the best that you can be, whatever that means. This mindset is exactly how you solve the problem. When you become the best in the world, how do you stay there? But if you realize that all you're comparing yourself to is yourself, you're just improving yourself compared to who you were before, then it's extremely easy to celebrate without getting complacent, because you realize it's a never-ending game. You can always get better, even if you're number one in the world. Now, obviously, number one in the world is not really a relatable thing for most of us. But at the end of the day, that you understand, like, what do you have to do next in order to get better? Don't think 2 years down the line. Don't think these huge milestones or long lengths of time, because that's overwhelming to anybody. Second thing, which directly correlates with the first point in terms of managing stress for optimal performance and improvement, is fun and passion. It should be a really big point on fueling your desire to find your mistakes. Meaning, you should be really enjoying the process of critical thinking and enjoying the process of looking back at your VODs or your replays and trying to be curious about the game and being impressed at how deep the game goes and being really just having a lot of fun with that process. And so you don't want to come at it from a desperate point of view. You really want to focus on really having fun and enjoying that process and being curious about the game. Those gift boxes that you just open and then there's like the next gift box and you open it, there's another thing inside and then you open it and it's very similar to that, where you don't know the next step and you just have to focus on the problem ahead of you, and that curiosity of like, oh, what's next? What concept am I going to learn next? What thing should I focus on next? And that game in itself is extremely enjoyable for me, and I think anyone who's improved thus far has enjoyed that process. Of course, it takes hard work. Of course, hard work is not fun in itself, but the curiosity is what drives people. And I know a lot of pro players are at that point where they really want to find that solution, and it's interesting to them. Otherwise, you're just not going to make it through this long and difficult marathon of getting better. Third point is how you do anything is how you do everything. And so everyone likes to separate the esport that you're competing in, whether it be Fortnite or any other esport, or martial art or anything that's competitive, and they try to split that up with the rest of their life. And the issue with doing that is, like I said, and this is proven time and time again, the standard at which you hold yourself in any capacity in your life will be the standard that you hold yourself in other capacities. You need to be habitualizing your entire life for success, because ultimately this journey of esports, or journey of improving in anything competitive, is a journey of growth. You may worry that committing this much time into esports may not yield a return, but the reality is, when you work this hard for anything, everything in life after it becomes easier and not harder. Your pain threshold for work and taking L's is extremely high coming out of this journey or this era, because obviously trying to go pro in esports, or any sport for that matter, is a short chapter. It's not that long relative to the entire duration of your life, right? And that short chapter is meant for growth. It's meant for improvement. It's meant for you as a person to grow. And I will tell you this is true personally from my own experience. I will tell you this is true for many other examples as well. Everything becomes easy and everything becomes enjoyable purely because you've experienced difficulty at that level already. Try to improve everything else in your life as well, because ultimately the standard that you hold yourself in those aspects of your life will be the standard that you hold yourself in terms of your practice routine and how seriously you take that esport that you're competing in. The next point number 4, is learning how to celebrate without being complacent, because oftentimes people are too worried to be complacent, so they never celebrate anything, and so then that ruins the enjoyment of trying to get better. You should genuinely celebrate when you hit certain milestones, but never forget what you were trying to go for, and never forget that playing to improve, like I said in my first point, is a never-ending journey. It's a very difficult thing to grasp, but I feel like you always want to celebrate certain milestones that you hit without forgetting that there's more to continue. By doing that, you'll be able to run the entire marathon without giving up. Again, difficult skill to practice, and it is something to practice. You're going to find yourself messing that up every now and then. You're going to need to rebalance yourself. For example, sometimes you might celebrate too much and just get like, oh, I made it. But you have to remember the goal, as I said in the first point, is you're playing to improve. When you finally win that tournament, it's not finished. Like I said, you're playing to improve. When you're looking at what you're trying to do to get better, you have to understand that not all mistakes are created equal. Don't try to fix everything, because there's simply not enough time in the day to fix every single thing. Even the top pro players have flaws, but the reality is they were extremely efficient with the time that they did have to focus on the things that mattered. They don't focus on something that they're a 9 out of 10 already in order to change to 10 out of 10, because there's a lot of resistance in doing that. But if you focus on the things that are weaknesses or things that are holding you back, things that give you a high return on your time, then you'll notice that you're going to be improving much faster. If you focus on the things that you enjoy or you like doing purely because you're already good at it, you'll find yourself becoming a very imbalanced player purely because you're biasing yourself to what you enjoy. Training has to be focused on your weaknesses, what your problems are. Why did you fail last tournament? What was holding you back? And if you, at any point, fall off that wagon and start practicing things that you really, really like for a long period of time, you'll notice that you'll stagnate and that you're not getting better. And the reason you're not getting the results that you want is purely because you're not fixing the problem that is holding you back. There's nothing else. And so you need to correctly identify what that is, and you need to nail practice and tailor your practice into that specific problem. Prioritize the mistakes. Prioritize what's important. Prioritize things that are minor 1 to 2% improvements and put them low in priority. Like maybe they need to be fixed, but later. because there's a 10% improvement you could be making, or there's a 30% improvement you could be making. And look at these improvements in the list and ask yourself, like, how much time does it take to improve that? Like, how easy is this fix? Because if it's something that takes a really long time, maybe it can wait. This is how you should be thinking about the list of mistakes that you've established in VOD review, because sometimes people fall into the trap of making a huge list, like a 40 bullet point list of like all the mistakes they make, and then they'll start working in a random order or like some order. But like, you should be prioritizing based on the most urgent things, and usually the most urgent things are the things that are holding you back. Like, why did you lose this tournament? Answering that question usually will help you. Ask yourself what your limitations are, what's holding you back. Last piece of advice: stop listening blindly to advice from people who don't have the results that you want, because oftentimes they will not have the resources or the experiences to tell you accurately what to do. It's not easy to give you accurate advice. Let me put it this way: if their advice worked, they wouldn't be in that position, especially if they've known that advice for a long time. And so I would tell you that the advice that most people give is not good advice. Most people give you advice based on what they feel, what they think or intuitively think. But realistically, the people that have some sort of credentials, some sort of experience, proven performances from their students or themselves, that's the people you should trust blindly. The whole saying, listen to your coach, that comes from that. Doesn't mean you can't critically think. It means put more trust in the coach than you do yourself, if the coach has credentials. And so then that's what I would suggest. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I think it is a necessary video in the world of esports, just because there's a lot of misconceptions on how you should be approaching improvement. And I really wanted to make this video to address what I've learned from my own experiences and what I feel like most people can benefit from.